Hello, students of Literature 115. It's me, Trotter. They wanted to make you guys a video on a weekly basis, but I've had some technology problems, but maybe I have overcome them. We shall see here. But anyway, I wanted to go over a couple of things and also comment on Black Box. It's the kind of story that makes me wish that we were in a classroom where we could discuss this back and forth. But I really enjoyed your discussion post from Jennifer Egan's very contemporary short story. So we'll start there. A couple of things I wanted to address about Black Box. There's a couple of misconceptions that I wanted to address, and then just get into the idea of the hero here. First of all, the story itself was indeed published on Twitter as a series of tweets by Jennifer Egan, the author. But we should not confuse that with the idea that the narrator published this via Twitter. So that's an example of implied author versus actual author versus narrator that the book tries to get into an instructional material of that chapter, chapter 2 point of view. I'm looking at my text here in case. So just wanted to mention that. One of you brought up the technology that is used by the hero, the beauty, and I think that's a really interesting aspect to this story. We are left to presume that this technology is not actual yet, but right around the corner, right? And that kind of gives it a sci-fi kind of feel to it, but I would not call this a sci-fi story. It is a spy story, as many of you pointed out, and I think that is an important aspect of Black Box. And one of the reasons that's important is gender roles have been reversed in this story. Most of the time, we only get that male hero as the hero of spy stories. And to have a female in that role, does do some things with gender. Now, Jennifer Egan, who is a female, also has her hero using her body and using her sexuality in a way that we may call anti-feminist, because she's using her sexuality to achieve her goals of spy and international warfare, I suppose. So something to think about there. The discussion that we engaged in was about new heroism, and thanks to Jacinda for pointing us to the page, the end of 202, beginning of 203, where this term new heroism is defined for us by the story, and that's a pretty unusual tactic. Normally we're talking about heroes in a way where the story doesn't ever address heroism. And so also it was posted, sorry I'm forgetting who, I should have written this down. Someone posted a nice academic article about hero. The hero in American literature is almost always flawed, but still prevails, right? And it's through the overcoming those flaws that the hero is almost always the protagonist, right? The main character. The hero overcomes his or her flaws to, usually to save the day, and I don't mean that necessarily in a Superman sort of way, but whatever that means to the story, right? Where they can come through at the end as prevailing. The anti-hero is an interesting concept and not one that we've really talked much about, but that's where the main character, despite and in spite of all of his flaws, and I'm going to use he here because my example is a male, still prevails. In my example here, it would be Homer Simpson, who somehow always comes out at the end okay, or having not destroyed whatever thing he was going to potentially destroy, even though much destruction often occurs along the way. The family is still intact, and Homer, through the help of other characters, usually, sometimes through just dumb luck, prevails at the end. So that's anti-hero. But here we have the concept of new heroism, and I'm going to read a little from the book here. In the new heroism, the goal is to merge with something larger than yourself. In the new heroism, the goal is to throw off generations of self-involvement. In the new heroism, the goal is to renounce the American fixation with being seen and recognized. So that's a direct criticism of American heroism, if you will. And the reason it works in this story is because the main character works for the American government, right? And is ostensibly saving our asses in her line of work. Dirty though it may be. And so this gets to the idea of American as an individualistic society, which is in contrast to a collective society. Indeed, America may be the most individualistic society in the world, where, of course, friends and family are important, community is important to some, but where individual success is earned, and when you fail, it's because of the individual, right? And it's this idea of, you can work to move up the social ladder, right? If you're poor, it's your own fault. It's not the fault of anyone else. It's your own shortcomings that are keeping you poor, that type of thing. In contrast to a collectivist society where the individual is subverted for the betterment of the group. Oftentimes that is family, but community as well. So, how we see that played out in American literature, of course, is being the main character, being an individual, having individual goals, and usually overcoming obstacles through his or her own actions, rather than a collectivist contribution, right? Excuse me. So, the story itself defines new heroism, and the question is about how does this character kind of embody that. And she's made a lot of sacrifices, as all soldiers do. In this case, she's not only being harmed through violence there at the end, but she's also, having sex with ill-reputed villains and the people she's trying to take down, right? She's becoming one of the beauties to essentially get into that inner circle. So we start off with this character, as Angie pointed out, who is trying to work her way into an inner circle, into an inner society, but she's doing so with this goal of helping America, right? And so that at the end, she, we hope, survives. We don't really know, but she gets quite injured and makes it off the island, which is pretty sweet. But this character is more than just sexy. She's also very strong. She's skilled, athletic, is able to get out of situations. And so what we're reading here is indeed an instructional book about how to survive in this role, basically. And so this is presented in second person, which second person is not really a favorable POV to engage in for most readers, and that's because it's really it tells you, the reader, how you're thinking and what you would do. So in Choose Your Own Adventure books, you may have read those in childhood. Those are second person, and it's fun because you become the character. But we intellectual readers do not typically enjoy being told how we think and what we would do, which is what second person does. However, in this case, Jennifer Egan, I think, gets away with it because she uses the word may a lot, and because it's presented as an instructional document to someone who's going to be a beauty. This instructional document is being created for the agency, right? So some of y'all had a little trouble with that second person, and it's tough. It's tough to read. Jennifer Kincaid's Girl, I think, is a beautiful use of second person and puts us in this very uncomfortable position of being a female in this society that's repressed and treated poorly and that sort of thing. So really, I think the most obvious answer to how is this character a new hero is because she's sacrificing without recognition. And so that's the difference, right? In America, we celebrate our heroes. We celebrate especially our war heroes and our sports heroes. And so it does have a very masculine quality to it, even if it's not a male. Those type of heroes get parades, right, and enshrinement and that sort of thing. But we get the feeling, the notion that this character in Black Box never will be celebrated. And she's making a lot of sacrifices physically and mentally. And that mental aspect may be the one that sticks with her longer if she does survive, right? Extramarital affairs for the job and that sort of thing. Even that can stick with you for a while. Good job on that discussion. A lot of y'all brought up very interesting points, unique points, and I really enjoyed that. And it's one of the most contemporary pieces, I would say, that we have in our Norton anthology here. And as I've referenced elsewhere, it's nice to engage in the classics, but it's also really nice to take a look at modern works of literature. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this video helps a little bit, and appreciate your time in watching this. And I hope you're loving the poetry. I gave y'all a couple hundred pages of poetry because the instruction is important, and I really just want you to read those poems and enjoy them. I will pick out some individual poems for you to read individually next week, but I hope you're enjoying that and just enjoying the class overall. Thanks. Have a good weekend, y'all. I'm out.